Welcome to section 7.3, factoring quadratic trinomials. Our objective is that I can factor any trinomials I want. So let's remember our strategy for factoring polynomials. First, is there a greatest common factor? Let's factor it out. Then we can do the processes that we've done before. For a binomial, we're done at that point. For a trinomial, we want to do an undo FOIL method, like we've been doing. And then for more terms, we want to do a grouping method. Then we're going to check our results. So for the binomial, remember we want to see what we can factor out. So I'm going to just check this really quick. 72 I know is 6 times 12, 6 is 2 times 3, and 12 is 3 times 4, which is 2 times 2. Okay, now I can make my table. 72 is -1 times 2 times 2 times 2 times, I'm going to need to make some space here, 3 times 3. Okay, so we're done with that. Now this 6y squared is 2 times 3 times y times y. See which ones match up, factor them out. Be left with 6 times y squared minus, let's see, what are my leftovers? My leftovers are 12. So I get 6 times y squared minus 12. For a trinomial, I want to see which, this is r times r. That negative 24 is negative 1 times 24, negative 2 times 12, negative 3 times 8, negative 4 times 6. And of course, that means it's also 1 and negative 24, 2 and negative 12, 3 and negative 8, 4 and negative 6. Now I want to see which ones on the right add up to negative 10. This one doesn't. This one adds up to positive 10, but that's not negative 10, so we don't want it. This one doesn't add to negative 10. This one doesn't, this one doesn't, this one doesn't, this one does, and that one doesn't. That means that factoring for this one is going to be r plus 2, r minus 12. Okay, I'm going to make space for the next one because we're going to be factoring by grouping for this one. I want to see what things I can take out of both things on the left. Looks like I can take a p out. So I'll do that, and I'll be left with p plus 5. What things can I take out of these two terms on the right? Looks like I can take a q out, and I'll be left with p plus 5. Now I want to see what things do those two terms have in common. Looks like they have a p plus 5 in common, so I'll group that together. Then my leftovers are this p and this q. So there we go. That's my answer. P plus 5, P plus Q. Next, we want to do the same thing. Is there anything we can take out of everything? Looks like I can take a 2 out of everything. They're all divisible by 2, so let's do that. Write that as 2 times n squared minus 4n minus 21. Next, I would factor like I normally would. This n squared is going to become n times n eventually. This negative 21, I can write it as negative 1 and 21, and then 3 and 7. Negative 3 times 7, and of course, the opposite of those, 3 and a negative 7. Now I want to look for the one that adds up to negative 4n. That's this guy right here. So I'm going to write this as 2 times n plus 3 times n minus 7. Okay, go ahead and try this one on your own. Pause the video, and I'll see you in a second. Now that you've done that, let's try it together. So it looks like these are all divisible by 4, so I'll take a 4 out of everything. Leave me with m squared minus m minus 2. Okay, this m squared is going to become m times m. This negative 2 is going to become either negative 1 and positive 2, or 1 and negative 2. I want to find the one that adds up to -1. So it looks like this guy. So it's going to be 4 times m plus 1, m minus 2. There we go. And we're done. Same thing here. What's our greatest common factor? What can we take out of everything? And let's proceed from there. Looks like these all have a u in them, so I know I'm probably going to take that out. We could do the table the first time just to make sure. So this 4 is 2 times 2. This 16 is 2 times 8. Oops. That 8 is 2 times 4, which is 2 times 2. -1 times 20, which is 4 times 5, which is 2 times 2. We can circle all the primes. Remember, we're pretending that -1 is prime. Let's make a table. Okay, the ones that they have all in common, looks like I can take a 4u out of everything. And what will I be left with? Be left with u squared plus 4u minus 5. Okay, I'm going to take this whole thing, I'm going to rewrite it up here, and then we'll just continue factoring it. 4u times u squared plus 4u minus 5. That u squared is going to be u times u. That -5 is going to be just 1 and -5, or -1 and 5. Only one of these adds up to +4, and it's that one. So I'm going to just leave that 4u outside all alone. Have it be 4u times u minus 1, u plus 5. Okay, there we go. Go ahead and try this one on your own, and I'll see you in a second. Now that you've tried it on your own, let's do it together. I was able to take a 6y out of everything. That left me with y squared plus 3y minus 10. That y squared is y times y. This minus 10 is 1 and -10, 2 and -5, but also -1 and +10, -2 and +5. Only one of these adds up to +3, and it's this one. So that left me at 6y times y minus 2 times y plus 5. There we go. So with this one, this is a little bit different than what we've seen before. Looks like I can't take anything out here, which means I'm going to have to factor out that 3x squared. I'm going to have to look at all the options. So here are my options. I have some options for the factors of 3x squared, right? 3x times x. And I have some factors of 2 are 1 and 2. So that gives me two options for multiplying. I could multiply the 3x times 2 when I FOIL, right? I would do 3x times x is 3x squared, 3x times 1, 2x, 2 times x, and 2 times 1. We want to focus on the middle term because the ends, of course, will be the same either way, but that middle term will change. I want to make sure to get a 5x at the end. If I put them in the wrong parentheses, right, if I go 3x times 2 and then 1 times x, that'll give me 7x, which is not what I want in the center, which means we have to be really careful to make sure that we factor this guy as 3x plus 2 times x plus 1. So we have to really think about that middle term. So let's try this one together. I want to factor this 3y squared as 3y times y. Because when I multiply those together, when we have things with the same base, we add the exponents. And then this 7, it just has to be 1 times 7. So I know these are the pieces I have to use, and I have two options for it. I want them to add to 22y. So I could do the 3y times 1 plus the y times 7, or I could do the 3y times 7 plus the y times 1. I want to see which one I want to do. So the 3y times 1 is 3y. The y times 7 is 7y. 3y plus 7y is 10y, which is not 22y, so I'm not going to end up using this one. 3y times 7 is 21y. Y times 1 is y. 21y plus y is 22y, which is what I want, which means that I want to make sure that I use this. Now, how am I going to use that? Well, in order for them to get multiplied in the FOIL method, they have to go in opposite parentheses. So, the 3y will go in the left one, the 7 will go in the right one, the y will go in the right one, the 1 will go in the left one. I just put in their signs, and we'll be good to go. That's how you factor that. Go ahead and try this one on your own, and I'll see you in a second. Okay, now that you've tried it on your own, let's do it together. You factored the 2a squared as 2a times a, and you factored the 3 by 1 and 3. So now we need to make sure we get 5a, which means I can either do 2a times 1 plus a times 3, or I can do 2a times 3 plus a times 1. 2a times 1 is 2a, a times 3 is 3a, 2a plus 3a is 5a, so we're good to go. That's the one we want to use. If we wanted to try the other one, we would get 2a times 3 is 6a, plus a times 1 is a. 6a plus a is 7a, which is not 5a, so we wouldn't use this one, but we already knew that. Now, we know that we need to multiply these ones together. In order to do that, we need to put them in opposite parentheses. So when I set up my parentheses here, I want to make sure 2a goes in one and 1 goes in the other parenthesis. Then I want to separate the a and the 3, and that was a positive 3 and a positive 1, so I know what signs I need, and I'm done. Okay, let's try this one together. This 6b squared minus 13b plus 5 is a little trickier because we can factor this as a 6b and a b, or 2b times 3b to get 6b squared. This 5 can be either 1 and positive 5 or negative 1 and negative 5. And if we think about this middle term right here, this middle term is negative, which means that we need to get that negative from somewhere, which means it's probably coming from here. So when that middle term is negative and both the outside terms are positive, that means that we've got to get a negative from somewhere. So it's going to come from here. That really narrows down our options. So now we can do 6b times negative 1 plus b times negative 5 as an option. We can do 6b times negative 5 plus b times negative 1 as an option. We can do 2b times negative 1 plus 3b times negative 5. And our last option is to do 2b times negative 5 plus 3b times negative 1. Now we just have to look until we get that negative 13b. We'll be good to go. 6b times 1, that's negative 6b. b times negative 5, that's minus 5b, which is negative 11b. 6b times negative 5 is negative 30b, plus minus b is negative 31b. 2b times negative 1 is negative 2b. 3b times negative 5 is minus 15b, which we're almost there. We got that negative 17b. And then 2b times negative 5 is negative 10b. 3b times negative 1 is minus 3b. Negative 10 minus negative 3 is negative 13b. Okay, so we know it's going to be this last row. Now we just need to put those in opposite parentheses, and we're done. So the 2b goes in one, the negative 5 goes in the other, the 3b goes in the other one, and that negative 1 goes in the other. And we're done. Go ahead and try this one on your own, and I'll see you in a second. Okay, let's try it together now. Oops. So our options are 8x and x, 2x and 4x. Our options here are 1 and 3, or negative 1 and negative 3. We notice that the middle term is negative, which means that that negative must come somewhere, and it's going to come from here. So now we can try out our options. We can do 8x times negative 1 plus x times negative 3. We can do 8x times negative 3 plus x times negative 1. We can do 2x times negative 1 plus 4x times negative 3. Or we can do 2x times negative 3 plus 4x times negative 1. So now we just get to try them out. We get negative 8x minus 3x, which is negative 11x. We can do negative 24x minus x, which is negative 25x. We could do negative 2x minus 12x, which is negative 14x, and we stop because we found negative 14x, which is what we wanted to find. Now we just need to put them in separate parentheses. So that means 2x goes in the left one, negative 1 goes in the right one, 4x goes in the other one, minus 3 goes in the other one, and we're done. So we've got really big numbers. I notice I've got variables in my last term, so let's see if I can factor some of them out. Okay, looks like I can pull out a 5y squared out of everything, so let's do that first. So 2y squared plus 11y plus 12. Okay, that makes the numbers a lot smaller and easier to work with. So that 2y squared has to be 2y and y. That positive 12 can be 1 and 12, 2 and 6, or 3 and 4. So let's try them out. Let's see. 2y times 2y times 1 plus y times 12. That's going to be 2y plus 12y, which is 14y. Not 12y like, or sorry, 11y like we want. So 2y times 12 plus y times 1 means that that's going to be 24y plus y is 25y, not 11y. So let's draw a line through it. We've worked with those. They're done. Next, let's work with the 2 and the 6. So let's try that. 2y times 2 plus y times 6. Please be 11y. 2y times 2 is 4y. 4y plus 6y is 10y, not quite 11y. 2y times 6 plus y times 2 That's 12y plus 2y, which is 14y. So it can't be that one either. Two more to check. It's got to be one of the next two. So that's good. 2y times 3 plus y times 4, or 2y times 4 plus y times 3. 2y times 3 is 6y. 6y plus 4y is 10y, which means it has to be this last one. 2y times 4 is 8y. 8y plus 3y is 11y. Awesome. Now we just got to put them in parentheses and we're done. 2y and y go in opposite parentheses. The 4 goes with the y. The 3 goes with the 2y. And we're done. Whew. Go ahead and try this one on your own, and I'll see you in a second. Okay, now that you've tried that one on your own, let's try it together. So we saw that we could take out a 5n. I'll be left with 3n squared minus 17n plus 20. Then that 3n squared can be 3n and n. That 20 could be 1 and 20, 2 and 10, 4 and 5. But we notice that the middle term is negative and the outer terms are positive, which means that it's only going to be these three options with the negatives on them. Now I can check them all. You checked them all and you found that 3n times negative 4 works plus n times negative 5. 3n times negative 4 is negative 12n. N times negative 5 is minus 5n. That's negative 17n, which is what you wanted. So for your parentheses, you put in 3n and n, and then negative 4, so it would get multiplied by the 3n, and negative 5, so it would get multiplied by the n. And don't do what I just did and forget that 5n on the outside. I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.